Hello, my lovelies. How are you all doing? Welcome to Special Pillars again. Well, listen, this PhD student mom is very tired, okay? I think I have had the most rigorous and stretching semester ever since I began my PhD program 2 years ago. This past winter was just very tough for me. But somehow God has sustained me and I am on track. So I give God the thanks for that. You're very welcome to this today's episode on my channel. Let's just get into it without talking too much. I'll be dropping the list of ingredients in the comment section to the things I'm going to be making here, which is cinnamon roll and bread. Again, welcome to Special Pillars. First of all, we are out of bread, so I'm going to be making some bread. But then again, we are also I also want to make some. I want it to be a surprise. I don't want them to know. I want to make pumpkin cinnamon rolls. So yeah, but I'm going to be doing it from just this one big dough, right? Um, yeah. So I'm using less flour than I would use, like 1 cup less flour that I would use for the usual amount of bread that I usually make, that I make whenever I make bread in this house. So just so it can be soft. So I'm looking for a soft dough, right? Because you want cinnamon roll to be soft inside and just a tad bit crunchy outside. All right. So yeah, let's get to it. So our yeast is bloomed. Okay. Whenever you put your yeast in warm water or warm milk, if it doesn't have all this foamy stuff, okay, let me open this and show you. Yeah, if it does not have all this foamy stuff on top, the yeast is good as dead. So you need to throw it out and begin all over. Okay, so yeah, everyone, how are you all doing? I hope you're all doing well in these I don't know, terrible times, I would say. Maybe not so terrible, but it is terrible actually. Things are very costly. There are wars and rumors of wars everywhere. Those of you who are Christian, if you've read the book of Matthew 24, I don't think you're going to be too surprised that the things that are happening right now, um, it's almost very like impossible for some people to even like eke out a living. It's just amazing how human beings, not amazing in a good way, but really just in a terrifying way, how human beings and political leaders, actually politicians, only care about themselves and their ego, right? But it is what it is, and I hope that everybody is just sort of putting their trust in foundation and making sure that what you are building on is securely rooted in God and not in the circumstances of that's the circumstances of what you're seeing around you, right? Because one thing I know is this: the psalmist says, I am very sure of this one thing, that I will see the goodness of the Lord, that I will experience or testify about the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living, right? And so that is what I'm holding on. Even if this world turns upside down, God is my portion in the land of the living, and I hope it's yours too. Okay. Anyway, for these pumpkin cinnamon rolls, I'm using actual like real pumpkin. Yes, there's nothing like pumpkin flavor here. What I did is that I cut this pumpkin into half, and then I'm gonna steam it face down in the microwave so that it will soften and be easy for me to peel. And then I'll take off the bag, I will mash it, and then section a smaller portion of the dough that I've already mixed to some extent in my stand mixer, and I will put this in my food processor together with the pumpkin, and then give it using the dough hook in my food processor. I will now give it the final mix for everything to integrate, and the color of the pumpkin is going to turn, the dough is going to turn into a beautiful pumpkin yellow. Yeah. I think this is a good place to say that if you're going to make this cinnamon roll, right, just make sure that your dough is not too stiff, okay? It's gonna be sticky. You are almost like very close to a very, like it should be sticking to your fingers a little bit. Don't be tempted to add extra flour just to make it, um, more bouncy or anything. Don't worry, it's gonna turn out fine. What you want is a soft cinnamon roll. Okay, so for the other part of the dough, which I'm using for bread, I have now put them in my baking pan. I'm going to let them proof, basically to double in size, right? The other thing I love about this Bosch mixer is that I can literally just go from the mixer to my baking pans. I don't need to, like when I'm baking bread, I don't need to put them back on the counter surface and try to flatten out and roll back again. No, I don't need to do that. I simply mix these massive amounts of dough in my stand mixer, and from that stand mixer, I am cutting into sections and putting it into the respective baking pans. So I let them proof in my oven. My oven has like a proofing function, and then for the pumpkin cinnamon roll that I'm going to be making, I think pumpkins are a very beautiful thing. Pumpkin is very good. Okay. Anyway, I clean my my counter surface very well over and over again, and then dry it completely. And I will sprinkle some flour on the surface of the counter, and then just use my not baking, sorry, my rolling pin to roll the dough out. The more you do this, it's gonna be sticking to your fingers. Just relax, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. All you're gonna need is to be using your dough scraper or dough cutter to just be scraping it up as you roll. Okay, all right. So after I have rolled it out, I am going to rub some, just thinly rub some butter all over the surface of this dough, and then I will mix some brown sugar, some cinnamon powder, and guess what, ground nutmeg together. Okay, you want to have nutmeg inside there. Nutmeg is a very good thing to have in all of your baking, baked goods. Okay, so I will mix this together, and then I'll just sprinkle it all over the surface of the cinnamon roll dough. Okay, and when I've done this, I'm going to roll from one end to the other end, and then use my dough cutter to simply cut into my desired sizes and transfer to a baking pan, and then I will bake it in the oven at 200 degrees Celsius for like 25 minutes, or until you start to perceive the aroma all over the house, right? Once you start perceiving the aroma, it's about done. Okay, if you did an egg wash all over it before you transferred it to the oven, you can also check and see that the top is now golden brown, sort of shiny.
Later on in the night, when the crowds have gone, we could talk under moonlight till dawn. We could stay to watch the sunrise, cancel all our plans. We don't need a reason why we just can't. I wish I could stop time and stay in this moment, never think about going. Won't you stay with me for a little while? Caught myself free falling deep into your eyes. You came to me without warning, but I knew why.
Well, just look at that. How beautifully amazing do they look? My children were all over me. Okay. Anyway, I just transferred the already doubled in size bread dough to the oven as well after doing an egg wash on them. And that is all from me for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I wish you peace and love and joy in everything you do. God bless you.
Won't you stay with me for a little while?